The basement of this house.
Oh man, starting off with a little levity. Little levity. Levity. Levitation.
I want you to find out who these guys are and where they do their show.
Levity.
This is definitely the type of place I'm gonna get when I move out of my parents' house.
It's gone.
Lighten.
I love you guys.
If you were
Levity,
president,
Leviathan.
you'd be Abraham Lincoln.
It's a movie.
We're not worthy!
Starting with a little levity.
Highway.
It just might be the greatest motion picture ever made.
Are you mental?
Wayne's World.
I'll keep the object on, but turn down the volume. Maybe just a little volume. A small volume. Alright, so yeah, yesterday I left off, well, before I get to Barbara, I've had these blueberries soaking for 3 days. And the water hasn't turned color, but it's produced these wonderful little bubbles. And it smells like, it's got the flavonoids. It smells and tastes like blueberry. So it's this essence, this watered essence. And one can assume it's moving very slowly, and one can assume that this is carbon dioxide, but it might not be just carbon dioxide. And the bubbles possess this beautiful magnetic quality that I've referenced before. The way that they conglomerate is different than the way that bubbles in beers that I buy at the store act. They act differently. There's something different happening with the water and or the gas and or the microbiota, but it's very questionable what the microbiota are. And what's super interesting about this, and again I've said it before, is that I like to do things that, because if you stir a ferment for alcohol, it's aerobic. But if you keep something away from oxygen, it's anaerobic. So the blueberries themselves, and especially being as though they're encased, are undergoing some sort of anaerobic process, at least to a degree, but the water's exposed to air. So you have this aerobic process, and I'm super interested in the way that happens. Oh, got a little accidental face there. But and then you're talking about bacteria, and you're talking about yeasts, and in some cases you're also talking about molds or fungi. And then if you put all three together, then you have something like a man-o-war, where you have all these systems. You have all these, like those, what are they called? Whatever it is, that sea creature, the man-o-war. It's almost like not almost, but at least symbolically resembles a, what are they called? A sea urchin. Those, what are they called? Are they called Vietnamese man-o-war? I can't remember, but those things that are like, it's all these different organisms, but they only replicate together as this organism, like that's super interesting. It's like a chimera. you know. Supposedly there are human chimeras. Oh yeah, that image is gonna come up later. Man, shit just repeats and replicates. But yeah, those beautiful little bubbles. I mean, look at that one. Awesome. Awesome. And here I can explore it with my friggin' phone. Something impossible to think of even in my childhood, you know? Looks like it's about to let go. Give it a little tap. Well, I don't want to let go. That's interesting. What if we could do that? Comes up, comes down, bounces. The aqua vitae. See how strong those bowls are? They're different. There's something different happening. Those bubbles are super strong. There's something there. But anyway, okay, that's enough on that. Here we have a wild carrot. First year, springing out of the dirt. Boink. Trying to reorganize. Yeah, so yesterday left off with Barbara. See if I can find, hold on. Ooh. Yeah, Barbara got whoops. That album I was listening to yesterday, one time she'd asked me if I'd draw a cover for her album, and so I started making some sketches. This is my first one. This is my second one. This is my third one. And yeah, I made a few. This is one I used before. And I did this, which was like an upskirt reference, but it was, you know, meant to reference like Dorothy, because when Dorothy falls in the pig pen, you can actually see her panties. I took the time to go frame by frame, which a lot of conspiracy people would be like, oh, it's a hidden sex message and all that kind of thing. In a way it is. Well, no, it is. but it's meant to be the same type of reference that this is. We're here to protect you. We won't violate you. We'll come right up to that point to 1, protect you, to 2, to teach you how to trust us. 3, to teach you how to know the difference between being taught and tested and being violated. We will teach you. We will test you. But we, the masters, will not violate you. So, yeah, anyway, that's what that reference was. But anyway, that's kind of what Barbara represents to me. It's a sketch, but I think it catches it, you know? I never did finish the drawing. I made a few sketches. I've referenced that one before too. I had such a hard time deciding between basically these two, because I like them both so much. And they both represent her to me. And I couldn't breach the gap, you know? But had a few more. Pling. Pling. Okay, so I was on that. What else was I on? Maybe it's in this one. That has to do with my dream of infinity, but it's not the right one. Yeah, I was on that. Because one time I was trying to figure out how I might paint or color that one in, so I took a picture of it and put it on my computer and printed it out, trying to figure out how I might finish it. And to me, this is my most Renaissance-y looking picture, but just really has to do with the model. And it was in a birth control advertisement from a magazine, which is kind of interesting. And I just saved it because I used to just rip out pictures from magazines for reference images, you know. And it's interesting that it was for a birth control advertisement. And it looks, even though, you know, it's my most Michelangelo-y little, even though it's just a quick little sketch or whatever, like, it's my most Michelangelo-y drawing. More Sistine Chapel-y than that one, which in the full picture is a circle. I think, you know, one of the only famous Renaissance circle paintings, which is super important, but I thought that was a nice color. Overemphasized hand, especially in this perspective, which has to do with hand and man. And that was my symbol for Harriet Tubman, which might look like disrespectful blackface. And I put the man with a tub of water, not just a pitcher, a tub. I'm gonna wash everybody. You know, but as symbolically it boils her down to the essence. And she was a handsome woman, as they say. And you know, her toughness, she wore her toughness, you know, and she had that she had that third eye built right into her head, that dent, that inward dent, the depths, the hollows, the vacuity, the depths. Like, how tough do you have to be to get there? to do the work, the real work, you know. So the depths. Whoops. All right. So that's that. That's that. All right. So I'm going to try to do the rest of this now. Looks like I'm doing fine on time. Not sure if this is going to work. I don't know how I'm going to do this. I don't quite know how I'm going to do this yet, but I'm going to try like heck. I'm going to try like heck. So, just going to try to regroup here. What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say? What am I trying to say today? It's about St. Agnes. It's about that universality inside of us, which is, see, I don't like the word divinity. I don't like the word divinity because of the division, you know? But it depends what division means. So like the unified division. Universality, it's used in a few other contexts which are very, you know, cosmologically or, you know, cosmologically or, I don't know. I'm trying to come up with the right term. I've yet to do it. That satisfies me. But that thing inside of us, because there's all this, but getting here with this, and the rest of it, but certainly with this and this, and this, the voice, to speak it, to share it. Yeah, the conspiracy of conspiracies that reaches back through time. And I've already convinced myself, I've proven it to myself, it's been proven to me from higher and highest, to my mind, you know. Part of proving things is proving things to yourself. Then you got to find the right way to share such that, not to prove it to other people, but to try to speak in such a way that that light shines through you to inspire other people to find that dove on their own, to find that proof on their own. And the thing about the dove of peace, you know, most doves, when I go around, like a lot of times, you know, doves, they fly together. The man and the woman, you know. Not always. Like the dove of peace is the one dove. You're the other dove. But the dove, and you know, but the dove, symbolically, and it's not very hard, is dove. D-O-V-E. Dove. Have you ever dove? Have you ever dived down? Dove, transliteration, past tense of dive. I dove in. I dove in head first. I dove in head first. Broke my neck. I dove in head first. Dove. Because you gotta go to hell. Your hell. And you have one. Like, I'm not saying go to hell. I'm not saying worship hell. That's not what I mean. I mean, it's gonna hurt like hell. So be careful. And there's something, I don't know what it is, but there's something, I don't know what it is for you. I know what those things have been for me. But you're going to go through a personal hell. And it doesn't have necessarily anything to do with the hell that's going on in the world. It does. But like, you may very well be in a very safe, private place with money in the bank, food in your fridge, all that kind of shit. And you're going to be confronted with your perspective of hell. Hell as viewed from your place. Just whenever that happens, please remember there's something, there's a very small handful of things. There's a lot of things you've been told that stick, but there's a very small handful of things. Very, very small handful of things that you remember. Those are your thread. Hanging by a thread, those little kitty pictures, hang on. Where it shows a cat hanging by a piece of yarn by one little claw. Man, cherish that. Hold those things, and when that time comes for you, and comes, those are your thread. And it's a strong thread. So I just had to say that because it's super important. Because in that darkness, you can make some bad decisions. Don't. Crawl on the floor, take a cold shower, cry, heave, wail, puke, shit, piss. Do whatever it takes, but get through it. Get to the other side. It will stop. It will stop. It will come again, but it will stop. Get through. Didn't plan on saying that, but it really does have to be said. I don't know a lot. I make mostly mistakes, but I know that. And thank God there were those others who said things, wrote things, did things, came into my life as they have come into yours. As we come into each other's lives. As we touch each other across time. I'd never have made it were it not for their messages. They being a number of people, big and small, every shape and size. Just like you, just like me. And if I fail, I hope you succeed. And I don't know what that success is. But I know what it ain't. And if I do succeed, whoever you are, I will find you. So yeah, I wanted to talk a little bit more about Raphael and the whole like philosophers thing. I talked about it before. The School of Athens painting. I got a little bit of the symbolism wrong, but looked into it a little more. I'm no expert. I barely read anything about it at all. A lot of this shit I kind of figure out as I'm talking about it, because while I'm talking, things are pinging, and then all of a sudden, like, you know, I've already got this network, and then things are going, and then all of a sudden, ping, 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 ping. But the gist, that's one thing I've been meaning to talk about too. What the masters, the maestros, you know, the masters of all types, what they want to get us to, and what's most important, because I'm, whatever, you know, you're probably like me, like you have these certain focuses of interest, and it's like, oh, I got to get this or that, or there's a million things you want to get good at, and there's a million histories that you want to like study. I mean, good luck with that, you know, like right now they're knocking down statues all over the world, which is awesome. It's a great thing. But you might as well knock over statues of Santa Claus, because history is horseshit, all of it. But there is a thin thread of truth through all of it, and man, that thread is the truth. Gets us there. Gets us to the great work. Which is here, so to speak. It's here. It's definitely here. It's definitely here. Yeah, so I wanted to, you know, the conspiracy of conspiracies. Are there conspiracies? Of course there are. Have you ever thrown a surprise birthday party? You're not only a conspiracy theorist. Have you ever been to a surprise birthday party? You're not just a conspiracy theorist. You are a conspirator. But just the same way that the NSA or the CIA or the FBI spies on us, it goes all the way to the top. They are as seen as we are. And we are seen. We're seen. We have no secrets. We just have things we can't say sometimes. But the things we don't say are to protect those it might hurt. And when I say we, I mean you, I mean everybody. Sometimes people keep secrets, not, and I'm sure you've done it yourself, where you're trying to spare someone's feelings because you know you're going to hurt them unnecessarily. And you want them to know the truth, but you know that they can't handle it. We can't handle the truth. We gotta toughen up. But not just to be tough. We need to toughen up to handle the truth to get to here. And I'm preaching to myself. This is my flair for today. I hope it's not too preposterous, but I'm going to be delving back into the whole black and white thing because it's big in America right now. But that's part of the conspiracy of conspiracies. How far underground does the Underground Railroad go? How far back in time? You know? But I don't want to forget the East. And I don't want to forget the people that were here to begin with. Whew. time. Plenty of time. I was really excited earlier. Now I'm just kind of like, feel a little bit heavy. A little bit heavy, like I gotta chill, but I don't want to stop. I don't want to pause. Just want to go with it. Beer. I think I'll talk about the wild carrot. I think I'll talk about the wild carrot next. I did want to touch on that. Bear with me. Bear with me. Where you go? There we go. All right. All right. So the wild carrot. One little red, I don't know what it's called. I got so much more to do with wild carrot, I've forgotten more. But one red dot in the center of a circular flower, but it's really all these little circles. And it comes up in the second year of a carrot's life. In the first year of the carrot's life, you got the little green thing sprouting up from the soil. So you got all your soil. Now we call brown people black, right? So sometimes brown and black are analogies of each other. Blue black. Green and the black. Negative images of the white is the black, the soil. Negative image of the red is the green. So this image is synonymous with this image. They're negative images of each other. And the symbolism spreads around the world. Now, these days, people talk a lot about the that mushroom. I can't remember what the heck it's called. Psilocybin mushroom, whatever. And what's that? That's a red cap with a bunch of white dots. So the psilocybin mushroom It's a red cap. Forgive my sloppy, impromptu sketch. But you have the red, totally red cap with a bunch of white dots. So you have a bunch of something over one something else. Well, what's the opposite of that? Another way to do opposites is to do an inverse. So here you have a bunch of white dots on one red dot. So you have numbers on top of a number. Specifically, 1. So this is numbers over 1. What's the inverse of that? 1 over numbers. One red dot over a bunch of white circles. Queen Anne's lace, wild carrot, second year flower, risen from the dead. So there's a lot of hubbub about this right now, but it's not about this. This just shows you a different view. Take one of these and fight the lion, you know. It's a truth. It shatters our perception, but it's not meant to be a place to stay. It's a kind of magic, but it's not the complete magic. It's a type of spirit, but it's not the Holy Spirit. This will open a door to show you a different glimpse on what's out there. Very important. This will actually heal you. Its healing properties, its medicinal properties, its food properties, and its entire life cycle, all of its parts. If you make a tea out of the flower, it is very, very, very soothing. If you make a tea out of its roasted root, it is a powerful stimulant. I mean, there's so much more to say about that, and so much I don't know. There's so much to say that I do know, and there's so much to say that I don't yet know. And I hope to say it all and learn it all. But its symbolism is also incredibly important. It's built throughout history. So it's about that too. Queen Anne. Queen Anne's lace, named for Queen Anne, House of Stuart, married to King James. I got more of this in the past. I still have to make my succinct one, but it's just like every day something comes up and I gotta, it's like I got this addiction. I gotta post. King James's wife of the King James Bible fame, who supposedly had a gay lover. But yeah, King James Bible, the black tuxedo with the white dress with the bouquet of flowers. So the bride and the groom are the Bible, and Queen Anne are King James and Queen Anne. But it's not a symbol that started there. It spreads backward through time. So, let's see. How am I going to do this? Shit. I don't know how I'm going to do this. That is way too bright. Oh no, that's awful. What am I gonna do? That's better. Okay. We're getting there. We're getting there. I just gotta figure out how the heck I'm gonna do this. Get this at the right angle. That won't get at the right angle though. Shit. Oh, I gotta get it up here. How am I gonna do that? Fuck. Oh, maybe I'll just hold it. Alright, so yeah, I got a few things on Raphael. Image I'd mentioned before, the School of Athens, but also, what is it, the Fire of Borgo? Fire of Borgo, something, Miracle of Borgo, and what is it, the Disputation of the Sacrament. So we're going to talk about those. And, yeah. Okay, no, wait, maybe from over here. Can I do it from here? I still don't want to get into that yet, and I don't know why. I don't know why, but there's a reason. I don't know. I wouldn't want to start that yet. Looks a lot more like a tetrahedron than a pyramid. Paramount. Parable. So yeah, I got a little bit of my symbolism wrong before, but you know, like I said, I barely ever looked at this stuff. But like, I feel like I went right to the heart of it. I'll kind of try to fill it out from there. So I have some very controversial things to say. That these Renaissance masters weren't just Renaissance masters, that they were even so much more than that. That this conspiracy of conspiracies, God and God's people, which is anybody and everybody of every race, every size, races you don't even know about, or that you do know about and don't believe in. And enchanted, enlightened, what we call animals. The good spell. Being a good parent to God, like Mary was. Why is it baby Jesus? Because the bad things that happen in the world and our bad dreams, our bad thoughts, it's a consequence of free will. And we can do everything right, what we receive from the world. And if we pray to help others, like literally, if you pray to help someone, if you meditate on helping the world, you're calling on the Most High Principle. And the Most High Principle's telling you, okay, here's how you can help. So what do you become? You become literally. You become a vessel for the prayers of the world, to answer prayers of the world. Sometimes you answer, if someone prays to God for something, meditates on something, wishes for something from their heart, and you have this like impulse to help someone, and it might not even be to help someone, it might be something else, it might be, but like, if you want to help and you have that desire, some of the things you do literally are answering people's prayers. But it also incorporates the butterfly effect. So something that you do might not help in the way that you think it does, but the way that travels down the line. So the baby Jesus are the new, good, beautiful ideas being born in the world that need nurturing, and in yourself that need nurturing. There's a million things you're afraid to do. There's a million things I'm afraid to do. But the baby Jesus are the ones that are actually coming, the things I'm afraid to do, but that are good and are very tender, very small, just sprouting up above the surface, like that little baby wild carrot, just poking its head through, and you don't want to stomp it. And that like little, not always just like, or some grand meditation or this or that, or astral travel, or dun 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 dun, you know, like, but that little tender, thing that's just sprouting. That's the child. And the way we serve that child is being a good parent to God, not violating it, letting it grow at its own speed, and become what it's meant to become, not what we think it will become. In some sense, we don't guide it, we watch it in ourselves grow. Sounds like I'm teaching, and I'm not. I'm reflecting on my own experience. I'm advising myself for sure. And I'm trying to lend a hand for hope and just sharing what I have to share. Brian May, the guitarist for Queen, as if being the guitarist for Queen weren't fucking enough, when he was done with being the guitarist for Queen, got his PhD in astrophysics. What a fucking asshole. Had something to do, I think he wrote his thesis on something to do with the moon. It's kind of like, I remember there's like this NFL football player who was also an opera singer. Now, does it sound like nothing really matters to him? Is that what you feel when you hear that? Nothing really matters? Nothing, no thing. It's kind of like when Phil Collins sings that song. I think it's Phil Collins. I don't care anymore. I don't care anymore. Now, I'm not a huge Phil Collins fan, but I think he's awesome. But like, you know, I don't have a hell of a lot of extra cash because I spend it as soon as I make it. But I'd bet $100, which to me might as well be 1,000. But not because I make what I think is I feel like I'm actually overpaid. But
Hey, what are you up to? Me? I just pulled over a tour bus on its way to Chicago.
But you know, I bet $100 Phil Collins cares. He still cares. But there is that sentiment of not caring anymore. I don't care anymore. But when you don't care anymore, it means you don't care about something because you care about something else more. I don't care like looking like a stupid fool. I don't care about making these rambles. I don't care about being 80% wrong because I'm still 10% more right than I used to be. That's awesome. So I don't care anymore about that shit. Because I care about something much more. Al Bundy. I used to be a shoe salesman. $5 an hour. And it wasn't so long ago where $5 an hour was a good thing. Had to live with my folks, had to live with my grandmother. Never had no money. I couldn't believe it. 40-hour week, which is daunting. When you're doing what you don't like, 40 hours is like an eternity. It's 40 years, man. Every week was 40 years in the desert. It sucked. But part of that is my impatience and immaturity, but part of it's because it's fucking true. Working at a JCPenney selling fucking shoes. For me, now I'm not saying you can't find happiness there, like my boss, she was awesome, she had all these challenges in her life, you know, or whatever, but she was like so happy, so fun, she made it worthwhile. Without her, it would have sucked, you know, but I remember after, when I got my first raise, I got like a 12-cent raise. I was like, not that I wouldn't have cared that that was all I got, but someone's like, hey Jeff, you got a raise, 12 cents an hour. And they were saying it like it was a good thing, and I was just like, what the fuck's the matter with you? That's what I'm thinking, like, these numbers mean nothing to me. Every penny counts, but I'm not good enough of a mathematician where 12 cents counts. I'm not doing super great on time now. So I might get cut off, and if I do, I'll have to start back. Alright. So we're going to start with School of Athens, Raphael, which I'd mentioned before. And I'd said before how you know, just because I looked at it and like one day I was like, oh, I kind of figured it out. You know, I thought I did. And how he represents like Greco-Roman Greece, like Italy and Greece, you know, and he's looking down to Ethiopia. You know, and I don't know much about geography and shit. I had to check that shit after, like, I hope Ethiopia's down there. And then I thought Heraclitus was looking to Egypt. And I didn't even know it was Heraclitus when I made that other video, and then I looked it up. Because he's a prominent figure, because he's also kind of in the middle. You know, everybody calls Aristotle and Plato prominent figures, you know. And they say that this image, it relates to a lot of things, but one of the things, the finger pointing up, just as that painting of Socrates when he was drinking his poisoned hemlock, which is part of the code that has to do with Queen Anne's lace. But yeah, he's pointing up, but what's he pointing at? He's pointing at the arch. Where's the arch go? Down. Down where? To Diogenes. Because, you know, oh, where's the arch go? He's pointing at the arch. Diogenes. Right? So he's given the most space. Greco-Roman. But Heraclitus, he's in the foreground. Look at them. Look at them knees, man. He is strong as shit. Does he look like a philosopher to you? He looks like someone who works. Works hard. He's got one page also. A page, a page. A page, a page. He's also got his foot making like a triangle, which if it were mirrored would be a pyramid. And if it had to do with his foot or his soul, but with the shadow, it would be more like half a tetrahedron. And so he's looking down at a pyramid, at his own foot, at his own soul. So I'm thinking he's looking at Egypt. Doesn't mix with the map, but I'll show you how it mixes with the map. Because here you have the center of the painting. So let's see, we'll get out our map. And this isn't the best map, but I'm kind of in a rush, and if I wait to make it perfect, I will never make it. So I'll open that up too. Let's see, photo impression. Alright. So, yeah, we'll copy that. Paste it. Looks like I'm still doing alright on time. And, okay, we'll blow that up a little. Blow that up a little, and we'll crop it. Crop it. Crop it. Okay, yeah, crop it. Alright. Crop. Okay, crop. Crop is new selection. Alright. Layers. Turn that one off. And make this one bigger. It's tough to get the right size. That's part of the problem. We'll get it though. Okay, now, Raphael paints himself in this painting. Right here. That little face looking at us, that's Raphael. Standing right next to Zoroaster. And Zoroaster's from Iran. So we gotta line up Zoroaster with Iran, and we have to make the space around Diogenes match up with the sea. Still not quite big enough, so let's see. Do the Greco-Roman deal, and have Iran match up there, so we gotta make it bigger. Gotta make it bigger.
Kids can relate to this show. These guys aren't phones. Kids can spot phones. They're very smart. Kids know dick.
I watch them in my arcades. They stand like lamps.
Gotta make it
Peter Bar to get a
bigger.
pellet. As long as they keep pumping their quarters, who gives a shit, right?
Let me ask you something. What is your single biggest problem in the arcade business?
Just a little bit bigger.
Keeping the customer informed of new product. Like we have a new game called Xantar. Xantar is a gelatinous
Just a little bigger.
village. Every time it eats a chieftain, you ascend to a higher level. But you can't get to the next level, so the kids keep walking the border.
Gelatinous cube eats village. I think it's brilliant. You know I know nothing about video games. I did not leave just said written.
Well, I do my own version.
I did not.
Of course, I don't mention the games in the commercial because the technology.
No, too big.
I did not realize that. Russell, did you realize that? No, I did not realize that. So, Mr. Vanderhoff, let me see if I'm hearing you correctly. Are you saying that if you had a spot, say on a weekly show, that you could come on the show and update the
I'm
kids
just
exactly
putting in the movie
your
for your viewing pleasure while I stumble through this.
I'm impressed.
Not super easy.
Noah's Arcade presents Wayne's World. I gotta tell you, I think that's really.
Yeah, maybe I made it too big. I had it before and I accidentally turned it off like a moron.
I like to think. Oh, of course you would. I wouldn't have it any other way. She'll validate you. Thank you. He's in. We gotta get on it right away. Stop it, you're scaring me. Oh, cool, you're learning Cassandra's language. I've never seen you so mental over a girl before. You gonna marry her? Garth. Marriage is punishment.
So I gotta shrink it a little more.
Okay. Past inspection. Just barely. Okay, that's 4257 Wayne Parts and Labor. Okay. There you go. Alright, we got that guy. We got this movie with that. That's good. You use a gun. It's not my fault.
Here we go.
Should have been at Gasworks on Friday. Yeah, we were there. There was this band.
Here we go.
They had this mega babe for a lead singer. Unreal.
So,
We were there. Have you got pencil? Hello. Think we should go.
let's see. I mean, that's pretty good. But, so we have Europe, Northern Africa, Eurasia, Western Asia. Then if we fade it out, we see where Diogenes is lining up with Greco-Rome.
Excuse me. Do you know where we can find Wayne Campbell?
That'd be privileged information. We had
Overlays with Italy and Greece. How his robe essentially lines up. His blue robe lines up with this body of water. Like I said, I don't think I had the scale perfectly right. There'd be more work to do to work it out precisely, but I think this is enough to show that, you know, the Mediterranean, the Black Sea, all this stuff lines up with this space surrounding Diogenes, who's in the revered spatial position. Before I'd mentioned that this fellow had his foot on Diogenes' shoulder, which was the chip, but I had that wrong. His foot's on Diogenes' head, coming from the mind. Aristotle's toe is almost the chip on his shoulder. But the symbolism still works in so much as Diogenes no longer has a chip on his shoulder. He no longer holds a lantern. He's looking through that page down to Ethiopia. And Heraclitus is looking at Egypt. And I'll show you how that works. It's also worth noting that this lady's purple robe touches Diogenes, as does this fellow's foot. Put their two hands together, and you have the dove of peace. The male and the female conjoined with something in betwixt. With a happy reverence. You know, and they're looking toward, at least seemingly toward Aristotle and Plato. Plato, who points up on an arch, and when you follow the arch it points down to Diogenes, and Aristotle's hand, who's the other central figure, is pointing his hand down to the space between Diogenes and Heraclitus, who said everything was made of fire. Tetrahedron. Fritjof Capra mentioned how it would have been important to study Heraclitus. The Turning Point, the predecessor to Malcolm Gladwell's Tipping Point, by many years. Not that I don't mean that as a slam on Malcolm Gladwell. I'm just saying the Turning Point, or the Tipping Point, was a super huge book, and the Turning Point wasn't. And I haven't even read it. But I read a few pages, and that's the thing about people who make inspired work, man. People who make inspired work, you just read a blip and you're like, yeah, that guy. Because they don't make shit. Everything, they could talk shit and it wouldn't be shit. You know, they think their poop don't stink. Their farts smell like roses. Well, maybe that's true for some folk. That ain't a bad thing. Alright. So that lines up. Awesome. And where is he looking? Where's he looking? Where's he looking? So that lines up pretty good there. Oh yeah. So we have Raphael painted himself in the picture over here, and he's looking at us. He's standing next to Zoroaster in the Persian Iranian area. I don't have it lined up perfectly. I got a little bit of rescaling and work to do, but you know, he's over there in Iran. He's in the Persian area, so to speak. And so that lines up. And it's also worth noting that in this picture, he's looking at us, who's commonly considered Raphael, But then, who else is looking at us? There's only two others looking at us in this image. This woman and this baby or child. So the one thing, it's just like they talk about Michelangelo, was the Mona Lisa Michelangelo? Is this woman Raphael? Was Raphael a hermaphrodite? Did Raphael disguise himself? Was Raphael a woman who pretended to be a man so that she could express her genius the only way she could? Talk about the enigma of the Mona Lisa, who stands alone. This is one of the most famous paintings, but how often do people speak of this figure, this woman? I just found that today. But, I mean, it's solid. And then the child. A greater enigma. Don't look like a child. Size of a child. $1500s, $1600s, I don't know, 15, 16, whatever. The gist is what's important. It's more important than the facts. Sometimes, it depends. Alright, so now, if we take this picture, copy it, actually, while we're waiting on that, we'll just do a little thing on Zoroaster. Let's see. Let's see. Having a brain fart here. How do I do this? Yep, a little more on Zoroaster. Zoroaster. The guy that Raphael's standing next to. Zoroastrianism. Yep, here we go.
Hi, I'm Rex Moore with the Motley Fool in front of BMW's self-driving exhibit at CES in Las Vegas. Now, if you ever wondered...
Was Jesus based off the prophet Zoroaster? Zoroastrianism is a monotheistic religion that dates back to ancient Persia. It was founded by a prophet named Zoroaster. Many mysticists think Christians made up the myth of Jesus by stealing from this monotheistic religion and modeling Jesus after Zoroaster. Their argument is, Zoroaster was born of a virgin by a ray of divine reason. He was baptized in a river. There is a legend of him in his youth, amazing scholars with his wisdom. He was tempted in the wilderness by the devil. He began his ministry at the age of 30. He baptized with water, fire, and holy wind. Cast out demons.
This video goes on to debunk a lot of these things, but that's not even what I'm interested in, because the history is all shit. We have to find the thread of truth that runs through the lie of history. That is the conspiracy of conspiracies, and that's what's fucking awesome.
Zoroaster. Well, a little bit of scholarship can easily put this to rest. First, we should note the life of Zoroaster does predate Jesus, but most of the information on him comes from tales found in the Avesta, which was not composed until the 4th century. We don't have any manuscripts prior to the 13th century. This was long after Jesus existed. The New
13th
Testament
century.
was finished, and long after our earliest New Testament manuscripts.
13th
It is
century.
possible oral traditions go back prior to
So
the birth of
2,000
Christ.
years after
With such a
Zoroaster
large time span in between,
is when
the
we get
stories
his
are unreliable.
manuscripts or whatever.
Plus, many
So,
Zoroastrian scholars
but there we go.
note the tales of
Zoroastrian
Zoroaster
scholars of
were
old.
updated over time.
Boom, boom, boom. White with the
J.
red
Rose
dots,
says,
baby. Mm-hmm. That was the important thing about that. But, yeah, it's like the, you know, when you write a message and then you seal it with the wax, a red dot on the white page. You ever seen that shit? Queen Anne's lace, man. Alright. So, and that also goes back to how far underground, how far back in time, how far underground does the Underground Railroad go? And I'm going to show you that it goes at least back to Raphael. And it, not just symbolically, like, there's an agenda that goes back in time, and it's a good conspiracy to save. And it rules. There's a lot of bad people involved in the bad conspiracy that a lot of us study this shit don't like. There are. There are people actively working against us. But their activity is countered by something as small as just your good intention of saying, like, fuck that. That actually makes a difference in the cosmos. It does. Your attention to the matter, that actually makes a difference. It does. But the masters of masters, the maestros of maestros,
She's a robo babe. In Latin, she would be called Baby of Majora. If she were a
they got
president,
those
it would be
dudes
Abraham
bound.
Lincoln.
And when they realize what's going on, it's going to be hard for them.
Did you ever
It's going to be
find
hard
it
for the
funny
people who have done
attractive
evil
Put on a dress and play a girl bunny?
to realize,
No.
like, out of self-interest and out of hatred, even though they didn't know it was hatred.
No. Neither did I. I was just asking.
It's going to be really bad for them.
Okay, okay. Keep looking up. Okay.
But, and I think we gotta pray for them. Some of them can turn it around. Just like me, just like you. I fear that some can't.
I will be talking to the cameraman on the headset.
And
It will be Terry
my
Johnson
fear isn't
and
that they'll win.
Oh, excuse me,
My
Russell,
fear is
but I
that
believe I
we'll
requested
lose
a
them.
man job.
Let's go on. The cue is, watch carefully. 5, 3,
All right. So, we're gonna
Why not?
copy that, and we're gonna paste it.
Now, it goes.
And we're gonna flip it.
4, 3.
You know, because before when I said I thought Heraclitus,
Good. Okay.
oh shit, I shouldn't have done that. When I said I thought Heraclitus was looking at Egypt before I looked at the map, because I'm really terrible at geography. You know, but he's actually looking toward like Algeria and Spain on the map. But upside down in a mirror, all that kind of stuff, you know. So we mirror it. And we overlap them. Boing! And then because my picture's off center, I'll have to line it up. So, let's see here. So that one's off center, so we'll line it up in the center best we can.
Come in.
zoom in so I can see what I'm doing here in the middle. Make sure I got it lined up just right. That's pretty good. Yep, that's pretty good. And how about the levels here? That's pretty good. So now we go down, and of course we see that Heraclitus is overlapped with Diogenes at the heart. See, Heraclitus is overlapped with Diogenes. Also, what we see is a triangle, which looks like a pyramid, but that's only because it's in perspective. Out of perspective, as it is, it's a triangle. What else does it look like? Two eye socket vacuities and a nose, a skull. Very loosely, but it's there. And then another interesting part about that is this semi-skull-like image right in here of some other kind of animal, perhaps, and obviously mirrored on the other side, where you have these eye sockets and so on. And of course back then they would have done shit like this optically, and they did. They would have used a variety of optical techniques and silvered mirrors and blah blah blah, but they would have certainly done this and a whole heck of a lot more. You can see the way that these guys are overlapped. How they meet up. Sure, if I had better equipment and took more time, I could come up with something. I could have it like more exact, because when, you know, a hair's breadth can really make a difference. So yeah, we have all this here now, and they're overlapped. And then in that case, Heraclitus, and I put the map up there before, and Ethiopia is just a little blip that would be like down here somewhere. You know, I got more work to do, but like I feel like I showed enough. But where he's looking at Ethiopia, Heraclitus is a little bit looking slightly the other way toward Egypt, toward the pyramids. And I discussed in my last couple of videos how like the pyramids can also represent the vacuity where tetrahedra are not, but yet they're a pyramid kind of. And that's where Heraclitus is looking, and he thought everything was made of fire. So I heard. That's about all I know about him. And they're the central images. And in between them you have a skull and you have a triangle. The foundation that Heraclitus is leaning upon, this foreground stone, is the middle of the picture, which when you reflect it, and this of course is an incredibly symmetric picture, all the rest of this is symmetric, so why wouldn't we reflect it? This is reflected, you know, and when we reflect it, we have the triangle, we have a skull-like face, abstractly. Now, where is this verified? By Raphael himself, or herself, or hermself. Man, I already don't want to keep going. I can't believe this is one of my longest videos. It's kind of complete shit. Let's get a little levity, a little levity. A little levity, a little levity. Campbell Soup. Andy Warhol. Alright, oh, Hockey mask, Mike Myers. Michael Myers. Hockey mask. 2 Mike Myers. Twins. It's the twins.
10 o'clock.
Indians. Racist. Unless the Indians were Indians. What if the Indians came from India?
And she's okay.
No shit. I don't. I'm trying to figure it out. Yeah, it looks like, you know, that little central skull there. That looks like a death metal album to me. Looks like Predator. Alright. So, I'll close that one. I think we're done with that for now. Yeah, we're done with that for now. Come on, man. Alright. This is an old computer. It takes a while for shit to happen. But it happens. Now we can all do Wayne's World on our phone for nothing. So do we think the conspiracy's really that bad? That we can all do all the shit we ever dreamed of as little kids? It's pretty fucking awesome. Alright. Now if I only did the shit I should do and not just the shit I want to do. Okay, so yeah, the dispute, dispute of the sacrament or whatever. Now we'll open that baby, that puppy. We'll open that one.
I think I'm gonna put on some tags.
Hey, where'd you get the CD player?
And also open the one I just had. Earlier I did mix the image together. So rear view. It's pretty much the classic part of this movie.
There it is. Excalibur.
Oh wait, maybe not.
64 Fender Stratocaster, classic white with triple single coil pickups and a whammy bar.
Pre-CBS Fender corporate buyout.
I'd raise the bridge, file down the nut, and take the buzz out the load.
God, I love this woman. Hi, Gar.
Hi.
Where's the clerk? I know. I'll use the May I Help You riff.
May I help you?
Yes, my good man. I'd like to have a look at this Fender Stratocaster, please.
Oh, really?
Yes.
Again.
Yes.
I thought this was the no stairway scene.
Careful.
No stairway. Denied.
Alright, we'll keep it going. Pretty good. Pretty good. That's all I needed. Alright. So, I said,
Wow.
this image here is a skull.
Amazing, dude.
Thanks. I like to play.
Now when we look at his other painting in the same room,
Can I put the fender back now, please?
Not today, my good man. I'm feeling saucy.
if we look at the other,
Do you accept?
if we look at the other painting I wanted to talk about, let's see, layers. So now we'll go to this layer. In the same room, where we got Jesus, right? And this relates back to Queen Anne's lace. Relates back to a few things. One thing it relates back to is Queen Anne's lace. You got a circle here, white, with a little red scar where he's been pierced, right? Now they didn't just make it look exactly like Queen Anne's lace because they got to use hidden symbolism so that it would turn up now. What else? The palm of the hand. This pasty white dude. Doesn't look like an Italian though. Doesn't look like a Frenchman. Don't look like an Arab dude. Kind of looks like hermaphrodite, just saying. But, yeah, the hand. Queen Anne's lace flower is approximately the size of the palm of a hand and has a little red dot right in the middle. And after dyeing the first year as green and black, rises the second year with a red dot inside of a white thing, and as it grows, it goes like this. A womb, a man, a ha-man, a woman. And so here, just like in that previous image, it was like two skulls and a skull. Here you have two flowers and a flower. With the navel at the center of the circle. And here we have 5 angels, so to speak, so it seems like we're dealing with, fiveness. But when we actually count all these rays, there's 144 rays here. Not everybody would count that. I did. It took a minute. I did it while I was taking a poop a couple hours back. And and it's 144 including the big and the small, including what isn't pictured. And you can tell that just by this and the right angle. And counting those, counting a quarter and multiplying by 4, or this way. And so there's 144, which is 12 squared. And about half of that, because it's in halves, because you have all the big ones and then the little ones. So if you count just the big ones, it's 72, and if you count just the little ones, it's 72. 144 altogether. And 72 is related to 72 degrees, which is the measure of the angle of a pentagon or pentagram or whatever. But sometimes in symbolism, degrees don't mean like out of 360, like it doesn't mean 72 degrees out of 360. Sometimes 72 degrees means 72 like day from, like 72 splits. So here you have 2 72 splits. But either way, you're dealing with both. When you're dealing with 5s and 72 and all that, you're dealing with 5. And when you're dealing with 12s, you're dealing with something else. But we have 12 times 12. Well, as it turns out, and I'll get into this more some other time, but 5 to the 12th plus 5 to the negative 12th equals 322. Which is the notorious number of Princeton's Skull and Bones Society. Skull and Bones, which is also the sign of the pirate ship, the Jolly Roger, with a pirate patch over one eye. One-Eyed Willie from Goonies. So we have Queen Anne. Queen Anne's Revenge was the name of the ship that Blackbeard stole. Blackbeard the pirate, who crashed a ship off of the Carolinas close to Jamestown, where everybody disappeared. They didn't disappear. They built it and left it as a mystery. The same fuckers. Was Michelangelo there? Was Aesop there? Was Jesus there? Was Zarathustra there? That's what I'm getting at, man. Shit's heavy. It's awesome, and it's light and it's fun sometimes for me, but it's heavy shit and it has a real purpose. So, but Blackbeard, again, kind of like the way we made this image. Like Blackbeard, we think of as a white guy with a black beard, but Blackbeard can also mean a black dude with a beard. He black, beard. Black, beard. So black, this would be Blackbeard that we know, a white guy with a black beard. And I don't mean it, it's like the opposite. I'm not saying, because I'm saying that this is kind of like the false and this is the true. But in this analogy, I'm saying this is the false and this is the true. Like Blackbeard, a black dude with a beard. Black Aesop, who Diogenes was looking to in Raphael's painting. So I said before, now Skull and Bones, 322, Phi, 72, 5, 1 and 5, 1 over 5. Looks a little bit like a skull. It's a little bit like a dog. Looks a little bit like a skull. 2 vacuities and a nose. Now in this picture, the same picture in the same room, if we look up at this, look at this. Look at this image right here, and here again is the dove, not going up, diving, because he dove down to hell. Now, crop that. And he rose from hell, right? So here we have the face, and we have the face, and we have these things coming off the face, like being hung on the cross. Black Jesus, black Aesop. This is a face with an African nose, and a beard, and a frown. He's sad. He's in hell. He needs to carry his message forward. We have an eye over here. Here the eye is draped, like a patch over the eye. One-Eyed Willie.